So on today's Card Academy lesson, we're going to be going over something that's going to help every magician out there because for some reason we're obsessed with producing the 4 aces from a deck of playing cards. So today what I thought I'd show you guys is a method to have the participant shuffle the deck in any way they want with no limitations and still be able to find the 4 aces using the multiple crimp. Now the multiple crimp, it's just a very simple idea. We're just going to be crimping more cards than one. Ordinarily when it comes to crimping cards, we usually just crimp one and use that almost like a key card. But here, we're going to be crimping cards that we want so that we could later find them without any hardship. Now, this is a very simple idea, but this allows you to be able to find the aces directly after the participant shuffles the deck without having to go through the deck and call them. So it's a very powerful technique, and it's very easy to implement, and all it takes is just a couple seconds and you're good to go. So the basic concept is as follows. We're going to take the aces, and this is just going to be a very simple crimp. It's not going to be any sort of breather, but all you're going to do is you're going to hold them together and you're going to pinch them here in the middle. Now I like to put both my fingers here on opposite ends of my thumb, and I'm just going to squeeze. So when you squeeze, that's actually going to put a nice bend in the cards, and you're more than welcome to do this on both sides. So now all the aces are going to have this nice substantial crimp on it. So when you place these cards in the deck at random spots, it doesn't matter. What's going to happen now is that those aces are going to survive, so that crimp is going to survive even though the spectator is allowed to shuffle the cards. So in this case, they could give it a riffle shuffle, they could give it overhand shuffles, it really doesn't matter. The easiest way to find those aces is by the use of the one-handed cut. So now all I have to do is I just have to use my thumb to let go of a pile as I do a one-handed cut. So because of the actual nature of the crimp, what's going to happen is that by just releasing a little bit of pressure with the thumb, the deck is going to favor cutting to the aces. So a quick little tip here is that you should use a marked deck. Now what the marked deck is going to allow you is that if by some chance you happen to miss the crimp, you're going to be able to read the marking and see if it's an ace or one of your important cards that you happen to have crimped. But here I'm just going to let go with my thumb, and what's going to happen is that automatically it's actually going to cut to an ace. It's because this ace is being bent against the rest of the deck. So because of that, when I let go with my thumb and release that pressure, what's going to happen is that it's going to favor cutting to that bent, or in this case, the aces. Now, sometimes what's going to happen here, as what happened in this particular scenario, is that you're actually going to have 2 aces together, which is totally fine, because in this case, you could just let go of the cards, give the cards one more one-handed cut, bring in another ace to the top, and now that initial ace that was on top is back in the middle, ready to be found by you. So again, all I'm doing is just releasing pressure, letting the cards fall where they want to, and giving a one-handed cut, and now we found all 4 aces. Now you can see the power of this because it's from a shuffled deck of cards. The participants have mixed the deck. There's no limitation as to how they shuffle. They could throw the cards on the ground, they could pick it up, and you're still going to be able to find the cards each and every single time because of that simple crimp. Now because of the nature of the crimp, this one is not going to be a permanent one. So it is going to fade away with a couple shuffles. So you want to make sure that if you're going to get into a routine like this, that you crimp the cards fairly soon when you get into the actual trick, because then it's going to maximize your chance of finding the aces. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is why you might want to use something like marked cards for this particular idea, because you could actually see it when you cut the card. So when I cut the card, if I don't see that it's an ace, I could either let go and start another cut, or I could complete that cut and actually get into another cut where I then cut and try my best to get to an ace. But because of the nature of the crimp, and if you're using relatively fresh cards, you're going to cut to the aces each and every single time. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be with a one-handed cut. However, this grip is the easiest way to actually find the aces. You could actually do it by cutting the cards to the table, doing a dead cut if you want. It's the exact same thing. The only difference is that we're dropping the cards from the hand. We're then picking up this pile, putting it on the table, and then completing the cut. And that way you could actually dead cut to the aces without resorting to doing something that shows off skill like a one-handed cut. I know this is a very simple idea, but what I love about this is that the participants could shuffle. They could mix the deck. The deck isn't one that seems to be prepared. You could take it back directly from the participant. You could not look through it face up, do any of those standard tropes, and cut directly to the aces each and every single time. And you'll be surprised as to how consistent you could be with this particular technique. Now, also, it doesn't have to be the aces. It could be any number of important cards for your particular routine. So if you need to cut cards that are maybe correlating to some sort of prediction, or cutting cards that may be needed into a trick, you could definitely crimp them in the way that I taught you guys here and carry on with the routine, having the participants shuffle the cards, and you could easily cut to the cards however it is you want. I think we as magicians falter to the idea of marketing very easily. So when it comes to techniques like this that are simple, that are easy to do, that are easy to implement, and easy to carry out, we tend to dismiss them because we want something flashy, we want something new. But one thing that I heard that really changed my perspective on this is everything that's old is new again. So we get to the point in the timeline of things where we look back on things and they become new just by the fact that they haven't been used for a bit. And by no means is using crimps in underground techniques something that magicians don't do in mass. It's definitely something that magicians play around with on a daily basis, but it's something that you could use, that you could implement, that doesn't require any extra effort, and it doesn't require you spending $30 on penguinmagic.com. But learning it does require you to pay $5 a month to the PigCake Academy. So it's all even. But that's the lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for being members of the PigCake Card Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.